What's up everyone, I'm a professional useless Overwatch coach, and today I'll be looking at the crowd favorite, Genji. I'll go over what I believe to be the 10 most important tips you need to know about this hero right here and right now. Tip number 1. Aim for the head. This is one of those tips that could really be applied to almost any hero in the game, but even more so for projectile users such as Genji. I repeat this every time I'm coaching one of the many noobs that sign up for my Overwatch study groups. Aiming for the head will not only increase your chances of missing, but in time, it will also decrease your self-esteem. In fact, there was a big study done on this subject by the OBRS, ever known as the Overwatch Bullshit Research Squad, where an astounding 1 million Genji bronze players were given rubber shurikens in real life and told to hit headshots on unsuspecting strangers until they ran out of rubber. More than 80% shurikens thrown across all participants either completely missed the target or hit the wrong head. Another piece of important data that came out of this was that after the experiment, 95% of the participants had elevated levels of cortisol in their blood, which is a stress hormone, as well as decreased serotonin, which is a hormone contributing to the feeling of happiness. Thank you to the OBRS for so kindly sharing these statistics with me, even after my repeated blackmail attempts. Turns out these statistics were never kept secret in the first place. Oh well. Tip number 2. Use your high mobility and make unpredictable decisions. Genji is one of the highest mobility characters in the game, which is why this is so important when playing him. Your enemies can only kill you if they land shots on you. But how will they land shots if you're being unpredictable? I mean, sure, they could pick a hit scan and whatnot, but we all know they're going to be playing Hanzo. The most important thing to remember when it comes to unpredictable movement is to go all in or don't do it at all. Enemy thinks you're going to walk left because there's a ledge to your right that will lead to your inevitable doom. Go right. 99% of the time, they will miss the shot. I mean, sure, you will die from the fall, but they won't get any ult charge. Now that's being smart. Enemy thinks you're going to finish them off after you got them to 10 HP. Walk away. It will mess with their head. Remember, this is not a sprint, but a marathon. Tip number 3. Climb walls all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Genji players not use this simple yet incredibly useless bronze level tactic. Even master level players or higher tend to forget this simple tip. Genji is the only hero in the game that has the ability to climb walls, if we don't count his gay brother Hanzo. Which means if you're not standing next to a wall, you can't wall climb, which is why you always want to be next to a wall. It also provides numerous other advantages, such as camouflage. If you're smart and you pick the right skin and the right wall, most bronze players will mistake you for a brick. That will create an opening for you to cleverly use your dash to get in the middle of their team and commit what most Genji weebs refer to as seppuku. Tip number 4. Abuse your right click. This one might be a little controversial because what you often hear is that you should use right click in close range situations and left click from long ranges. But from my experience as a professional useless coach, I find that it only confuses people because it requires the player to swap between two buttons, and as if that wasn't difficult enough of a task, it's also not always clear when you should click which. How close is close enough to use the right click? To avoid all this confusion, my personal strategy is to simplify the process and abuse right click from every range. Forget left click, unbind it. Tear it off your mouse. One of the obvious advantages it offers is that it allows you to release free shurikens all at once in one swift motion, whereas left click shoots out free shurikens one by one, which takes longer and could potentially be the difference between dying to your enemy and dying from natural causes. Tip number 5. Make every deflect count. One of Genji's most powerful abilities is his ability to deflect projectiles. This doesn't mean you can just jump into a Hanzo ultimate, press C and hope to survive it. What it does mean is that you are invincible. Tip number 6. Ignore haters. Genji is not easy to play. Not because of the mechanical skill needed or awareness, but because when one chooses to master Genji, one is choosing to walk down a long and arduous path filled with unjustified hate, unjustified mockery, and justified requests to switch to a healer. In order to become a true expert Genji player, you will have to develop what is known as Reinhardt skin. I actually coined this phrase back in early December 2017. I expect the general population to adopt this term as early as 2030. What it means is having a shield up at all times that protects your psyche from external psychological attacks, such as, but not limited to, "You're useless, Genji, please switch to Mercy." This Genji is so bad that the only kill he's gotten so far is when he dashed off a bridge. "Please report me after game, not because I did anything wrong, I just figured I would rather get banned than continue watching this Genji." One technique I recommend to my clients is as soon as you feel that someone is starting to get under your skin, I tell them to sing, "They see me rolling, they hating." Tip number 7. Act before you think. Right now there is an epidemic of players trying to think before they act. While this may work for Hanzo players, it is not the best way to make yourself a name as a true Genji player. As a Genji, you want to be flashy, you want to stand out, get that play of the game every time, even if it costs you the actual win of the game. But in order to style on your enemies, you have to act more. You can't be passive. You see the enemy team? You have your dash? Well, what are you waiting for? Dash onto those noobs and 1v6 them. Because that is what Genji is all about. It's about constant, never-ending action that is rooted in not thinking. Remember tip 5? Deflect makes you invincible. So dash onto them, deflect, and you should be well on your way to losing the game. Tip number 8. Prioritize kills and damage, not objectives. Your job as a Genji is not to care about objectives. It is about racking up those gold medals so that when your team inevitably blames you for losing, you can throw your medals in their face. It will help you feel like it was your teammates who weren't pulling their weight, and so your ego and self-esteem will remain intact. Leave objectives for the likes of Hanzo players. After all, what else can they do? Tip number 9. The 360 Dragon Blade. This is a secret and incredibly powerful technique that I invented myself. So far, every noob I taught it to has reported positive results before getting banned. Don't let the apparent difficulty of pulling this off scare you away, because once you master it, you will truly be a force to be reckoned with. Here's how it works. Before using your Dragon Blade, you're going to want to stop for a moment and go into your settings menu. Once there, you will change your mouse sensitivity to the maximum possible. Now quickly close your settings and it's time to go. Activate your ultimate, dash into your enemies, and start moving your mouse chaotically. You will be surprised as your enemies start dying one by one. Once you killed all those noobs, quickly go into your settings again and change them back. This technique takes a lot of learning, so don't be discouraged if you can't get it to work the first couple 100,000 times. Tip number 10. Don't play Genji. Look, we all want to be the best, but we also know that for someone to be the best, someone has to be worse. We all think we're the ones who are destined to be the next great Genji, but the inconvenient reality is that very few of us possess the required Genji gene, or as Overwatch Bullshit Research Squad is now calling it, the Shinobi gene. So in the end, a big part of it is in our genetics, and only a small portion is what we learn. I don't want to discourage any of the noobs watching, so don't stop playing Genji, don't stop losing SR, but if after a while it doesn't work out, just think about the possibility of switching mains. So there you have it, my 10 tips that if you put them into practice, I really believe will take you to the next level of useless. If you liked the video, please call the number below and order a private lesson with me so I can coach you personally. The number will be below, so just call it. Call it now. Do it, just call it. Order that lesson. Fine. I'll see you next time.